Good morning. This episode starts with morning coffee and beautiful British Columbia. It's even written on their license plates. And then there is a dramatic change. Over into British Columbia, where I am right now, and the views, I don't know, everything just keeps getting better, and I'm waiting for a lookout here in Glacier National Park to give you one sample of what I am going to bring you on the next episode of beautiful British Columbia. I'm not going to shelter you from this. Shit started to go seriously sideways. It started in Hope, BC, when I got some information that required me to go to Vancouver Airport and fly home. We're almost in Revelstoke. Skunk Cabbage Boardwalk.
There's construction ahead.
Oh, construction ahead. Skunk Cabbage Boardwalk. It doesn't seem like a great time. So this part of the Trans-Canada goes through Glacier and now Revelstoke National Park. 2 parks. 8 tunnels so far. And I know that the route Icefields to Jasper has been touted as the most beautiful. Yikes, everyone's slamming on their brakes for this construction, including the Tesla and the Ferrari. This highway is very different from that. That highway has, the Bow River and blue water on either side, wide open spaces, mountains in the background. This is like riding a roller coaster with tunnels, and the mountains are much closer to the road. It's just raw wilderness pressed up right against the Trans-Canada. So Revelstoke is in about 25 kilometers. We have come down off of that mountain pass, so we're pretty low in valleys right now. So I'm excited to see what Revelstoke is all about. Yeah, this totally didn't end well. I don't think at this point in my adventure you'll notice I'm on washboard logging roads. I don't think think at this point in the adventure I could be labeled afraid, but cautious would be a good word. And I thought, I've never done the logging road thing, which, for those that don't know, it's Crown land, it's completely free camping. But I'm looking right now at the top of this mountain at fires. And
that would be last fall. That would be a big thing.
Sorry about that. And British Columbia, and there's several up there. I'll put a picture in here. And British Columbia is known for fires. And it certainly told me on the map about a fire that was far away. But as I drove up this logging road, this is why you always need to have everything very secure in your vehicle, because things are bouncing around. And I have my vehicle in sport drive. Sport drive. But as I got to the further into this logging road, I lost cell phone service. And I thought, cautious me does not want to be on a logging road in bear country, potentially by myself or with other people that sometimes in this situation would be strangers, obviously, and be able to see fires. That didn't seem like a sensible thing to do. So I turned around, and we're heading back down until I get a cell phone signal, and we're going to find somewhere else safe to sleep tonight. And it's 1:34 in the afternoon. Normally, I like to be settled no later than 3 to leave some space for the potential. Oh, that's interesting. There's a helicopter now going up. But to leave potential for something like this going wrong, because I never want to be down a logging road or lost after dark, ever. Yeah, those look like official type people. 4 trucks, a helicopter. So, who knows what they're doing? But yeah, forest fires within view. I will bring you up to date with where my life choices led me today on this adventure. And so my first attempt down a logging road did not go well. But I will be happy to get back to paved road, that's for sure. I definitely wouldn't do this drive at night in the rain. It's not that I'm skittish so much as animals on the road and other questionable drivers on the road. I'm looking at mountains peeking out from clouds in this rain. But I thought this would be a good time as I'm doing this. It says Green Valley Ghost Town. I wish I had time to stop at a ghost town, but I really want to get to where I'm going in daylight and better weather. That's huge. Oh, yeah. It's cute. It's a tourist attraction. It'd be really great for kids to stretch the legs. I think there's a hotel, there's a reception. Yeah, you can stay there. It's on a beautiful lake. Anywho, what I wanted to explain, because has grown exponentially because my video with Bob Wells came out last week. So our community has grown, and I am deeply appreciative. And I thought that for those of you who are new to me, in that you're not from Ottawa and you didn't grow up watching me on television, I thought that it was time that I shared a bit about me. I think you all know there was a very serious accident, yada, yada, yada. I can't walk the way that I used to, let alone climb mountains. It's not about that. It's how do I do this? So first of all, I live in a car, so I don't have a mortgage anymore or rent. But Mondays and Tuesdays, so this is a little bit of the machinery of what I do. I travel full time. I did go back to Ottawa for the summer for things like medical and legal appointments, and I do see a PTSD psychologist, which is why I have the mental health podcast called The Inner Shift Podcast with the bestie, Amy Friesen. So if you ever want to check that out, we talk about everything to do with women's mental health. This is sort of why I work Mondays and Tuesdays. So you'll often see me in either a crappy motel or a nice motel. I don't like hotels because stairs are a problem for me bringing Buddy in and out. I like to back up my vehicle to a room that has Wi-Fi, etc. if I'm going to work for 24 hours pretty much straight. Editing some of the Inner Shift podcast. Amy does a lot of it. We partner very much in that project. The other thing is, of course, this YouTube channel. I'm not a great shooter. I know some of you have been critical of my editing and my photos. I'm learning. I spent 25 years on television and they never let me edit a thing, so I did not know how to edit when I started this journey 16 months ago. Yikes, that guy was close to me. And I didn't know how to do that. I didn't know how to shoot. I have a GoPro right here that I did one thing to get the star trails, and I'm learning as I go. It's a much better camera, obviously, than it's literally an old iPhone that I'm using. So I apologize for that. I didn't know how to do audio in the beginning, so the audio was all over the place. And I honestly wasn't sure anybody would watch. I was doing it for me to document my travels because I am writing a book about two things. What happens when an insurance company gets involved in your life in an accident, and how that connects to the van life community that is incredibly supportive that I have met along the way. I wouldn't be standing if I couldn't have found a community that understood what it was like to lose, at this point we're at 3.5 years, to lose your income, to have people have your medical records, it's just an invasive, horrible process. And then to basically be saying, well, you could get a job. Like, okay, what kind of job do I get where I can't walk or stand for 8 hours a day, let alone 2, let alone 1 on some days? You know, everybody talks about the baseline in the legal industry, I'm told, is could I be a Walmart greeter? Which I thought might be entertaining because I do it with my 6 o'clock news voice. Welcome to Walmart. Can I help you find anything? But that's not fair because I didn't buy an insurance package, the best package there is, to not have the life that I had. That's what I was insuring. This trip is about getting away from snow and cold. I cannot live in my hometown of Ottawa in a vehicle. will say, but you could live with friends, you could couch surf. I'm sure they wouldn't charge you rent because I make almost no income. I'll get back to that in a second. Who wants to freeload from their friends? I still have some humility left. You know, I do have a portable toilet in my vehicle, so, you know, humility is a bit of a sliding scale. It's gorgeous. I am trying to make income from the YouTube channel and to demonstrate to the insurance company that I'm not just trying to freeload and fake my injuries. I don't think 12 doctors would be lying and jeopardizing their medical credentials because they're supporting me faking my injuries. It's just not possible. So I am trying to build this YouTube channel, to build the Inner Shift podcast on women's mental health, which I know a lot about, and so does Amy. And then I also am doing some consulting for clients that I had in the before times. How that works is I have an incorporated company. When you have an incorporated company, often you need to have an accountant and a bookkeeper. So I'm not making enough to profit yet from consulting on the road. It's just paying for the people that I need to support the actual incorporated company because they need to get paid. I'm hoping to develop that further and to have some clients that I can FaceTime with and give marketing expertise, information to, and honestly at a lower rate than I used to, because I used to be $200 an hour, and that was because I had overhead in an office and all that kind of stuff. Now I don't. So I am not trying to scam a system or get away with just having the time of my life sleeping in the back of a car and using a bucket. I'm trying to make something of my life. I've spoken for almost 10 minutes, but I think that that might answer some of the questions of the people who have either met me on the road or who follow, who are kind of wondering what the backstory is and what it is that I am trying to achieve. Enchanted Forest, a woodland wonder for all. Well, that looks like a cute little place for kids. Good place to stop when they're squirrely about being in the car on their way to the BC interior. I'm not trying to prove anything to anyone. I have already written a book that is in the Ottawa time capsule for the 150th, so I have a bit of street cred on being able to produce a book. So I'm going to write another one, and this is all material for it. All of you are going to participate in some way by giving me hope that I can still, at 57 years old, 3.5 years after a very serious car accident, have something to give. So thank you all for being a part of this journey. If you have any questions, I answered a whole bunch of questions last night because I had the Wi-Fi from the motel while I was working, and even I think found a lady a solution for a dog harness like Buddy's for her dog. So sometimes it takes me a while to get to it depending on where I am, but if you have any questions about this, you're now part of the community and I would be more than happy to answer them. Even the fella who doesn't like Canadian healthcare but is a recipient of Canadian healthcare that I never got a bill for, I disagree. Honor his opinion, but it worked for me. Yeah, the wait times were you know, depending on your need. But I sure got into a cardiologist pretty quickly. And I left the emergency room without a bill. I've given birth without a bill. In my opinion, I'm happy with our system. Oh, this is so beautiful. The train is going by right above me. I am still on the Trans-Canada, which weaves together all of Canada, and the train tracks follow it. Just a feat of engineering back in the day when people were using shovels and picks. I'm not sure that we treated some of those people very well. However, every country has its dark period in history. We just have to have reconciliation and do better. Talk to you guys later. Today onto Vancouver Island, but I'm not doing that, and I'm a little grumpy about it. In exactly 12 hours, I will be taking off from Vancouver on my way to Ottawa because my insurance company has decided that negotiations have stopped almost 3.5 years after the car accident, which was not my fault. And they need me to do about 6 to 8 medical tests in Ottawa to prove that my doctors are telling the truth. I can't tell you the level of frustration that I have with the insurance industry and the governments that allow this to happen. I can only speak for Canada. I don't know what would happen to me if I was in the United States. I am not familiar with their insurance situation. But I am driving right now to the Vancouver airport to fly back to Ottawa. And I don't have a return ticket because I don't know what they're going to do to me or with me at this point. It's a Saturday, well, I guess it's now afternoon. And I booked take you along